And to her is Miss Pascaline Edwards. She needs no introduction. If you don't know her, please find your phone and Google. There's something called Google we can all use. So I'll call the president of GAFTA, Mr. Jim Awindo, to give us some short message, and then we can just dive into our program. Please clap for him.
Unfortunately, it's not going to be a short, which actually became the fulcrum of agitation and fight for a film bill to be drafted. In the midst of all these events, GAFTA was home to, was born to spearhead this campaign for a structured film industry. I'll not bore you with all the details, but there are some particular names that were particularly in front of GAFTA. GAFTA then began with some founding members that I'll not mention, happened to be one of them. Some of them have passed into blessed memory, and there are others who are still around and active, and we salute them for their efforts. However, it's been more than 2 decades when we began the agitation. The journey to this point has not been an easy one. GAFTA was constantly under attack, sometimes by even colleagues who should have known better. Some had the blissful ignorance that there might be something wrong with this whole concept of GAFTA, which appeared to have registered or reigned at every stage in their discourses. We were challenged by powerful political and psychological forces that threatened our dreams of having a viable film industry with retreat and defeat. Through several political regimes, some self-seeking film practitioners also paraded and continue to do so the corridors of power, seeking incentives or dole-outs to the detriment of the collective agenda of building a strong and viable film industry. All these tended to thwart our progress. GAFTA, in its wisdom, realized that its adversary was strong, but not stronger, especially if we came together. So in collaboration with other stakeholders, such as NAFTI, GAG, FIPAC, ASOC, all those acronyms, Kodak, Crew Association, FDGG, and GIBA, we have clocked unprecedented milestones within the shortest possible time. Now we have the Film Act 935. What the law seeks is to improve this industry through the function of the NFA, which is the National Film Authority, to regulate and standardize through training and licensing. Of course, this is key to the existence of our dear NAFTI, the guilds, and other practitioners. The law also captures the classifying of films, funding, helping to create distribution channels, co-productions, and the safeguarding of rights of producers, performers, right owners, authors, through various contracts. Other quintessential areas dear to us and the nation in the Act have been dealt with, which includes archiving, determining the economic value of the industry, and making Ghana the most conducive destination for filmmaking, and many others. GAFTA has been very active with the other stakeholders in helping to draft the LI, which is the legislative instrument for the Act, to securing a fiscal infrastructure for the NFA and to see to the general education of the provisions of the Act. Currently, we are looking at the tax issues, which makes becoming a guild member an imperative provision. We are excited that the leader of our tax force, who is George Bosompim, was in the forefront of this task. We look forward to seeing a unified force to achieving all these goals with stronger guilds and associations as we prepare for the National Film Authority, who should come into effect hopefully before the end of the year or beginning of next year, when our ministry or sector ministry affirms the acquisition to the fiscal building. For those of you who have sacrificed their time, energies, and money to see us this far, we say thank you and hope that your dedication to the cause will pay off, and to those who are still sitting on the fence waiting, the wind of change is blowing. It's either you join or you'll be swept aside. The task ahead is enormous. Let's all, as industry practitioners, get to the wheel and get working, especially those from the noble institution of NAFTI and its alumni. At this juncture, I will pause to ask the crucial question: why products of NAFTI are not flooding the gills. After 40 years of, say, churning out students or products of this school, would have expected that we become the stronghold to GAFTA, that is through the gills. But it looks like there's a certain apathy or something, I don't know. But if there's something that we're failing to do, please let us know, so that if there are incentives, pleasurable incentives that we have to put for you to come, then let us do that. So we're asking that and treating you all to be part of this noble organization. There are about 9 guilds to GAFTA that we can all belong to. So let's do the thing. Let's get together and let's work together, because we cannot do this alone. I know some have been very critical of us, that we've been sleeping, but from what I just read, it means that we've not been sleeping. We've been working too hard. We actually need some sleep. That's what it is. So I would say that we're thankful that we have this platform to say what we're saying now. And we say thank you for listening. And I'll end by saying Laya Farah, which in Frafra means Ayiko. Happy 40th anniversary. Long live the Ghana film industry. Thank you all. God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Awindo. Thank you. So we would dive into the talk series, the main reason why we are here, and I would like to introduce our main speaker. He has been interested in the works and activities of NAFTI students since its inception, and as a result, he has worked closely with many of the graduates of NAFTI. Those whom he has mentored call him General PK, because a wink will let you be steady. His sons and daughters are many, including the late Charles Kofi Buckner, Mr. Yao Frimpong Boachi, George Acton Tete, Victoria, sorry, I keep saying Victoria, Veronica Kwashinai, Astusa Hiable, Abdullah Awudu. In fact, the list is tall. I'll just leave it here. And this man is a pioneer in the industry. And I changed the word pioneer and I called him the legend. Please, with the standing ovation, help me welcome Mr. Cole Pencil Ansan.
Good evening, fellow students. I say fellow students because every day in a filmmaker's life is a new challenge. And you never, I realized that you never, ever master this challenge if you are determined to succeed. Whatever you overcome becomes an asset in your bank. You struggle on. This evening, we are going to talk about, is it distribution, marketing, and financing. I think I will count myself lucky, even though it was quite a challenge. I had written my first script, Love Brewed in the African Port, for 8 years. Going around looking for sponsorship or finance to do my first film. I tell you, that in itself is a story, a film story to be told. Here I am, a young man who had gone through the studies of theater design, decided to get into film. Lucky at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, I had Richard Burton's father, Philip Burton, who, fortunately for me, had been a classmate of one of Ghana's luminaries called Professor Abraham. Professor Abraham was in Oxford, and according to Richard Burton's father, you may not know, some of you may not know Richard Burton. He was one of the leading actors in Hollywood. He hailed from Wales, Britain, but became very popular and got married later on to Elizabeth Taylor. This man took so much interest in me at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts, and saw, even though this was not a film institution, he realized that a lot of the things I was doing borders on film. So he asked me, do you come from a film family? I said, my father is a photographer. He said, now I know. So I said, you know, the place I would like to be is Hollywood. He said, Hollywood? You know what? Our union restrictions are so much that when you go there, you can only observe. You cannot even touch a cord on the ground. The union will rise against you if you do that. So how do you benefit by such? I said, all I want to do is to observe how things are done. The man said, I'll talk to breakfast with this wonderful woman, Valerie Douglas. He says, Kwa, you know, Richard had said so much about you, and I see you have talent, because Richard said so. I said, oh, well, I didn't know. I just requested to be here, and I'm very lucky to be in Hollywood. He said, well, you are welcome. At the breakfast, this woman looks at me and says, why, you know, you would think that all those great names you've heard in Hollywood just got up one day and became great. No, there is something that should stimulate you. Then I paused and said, what is this woman talking about? Stimulate me? He said, look, in this business, there's a lot of color in it. But some creative people come in colorblind. What you have to do is to, deepen that color in you. Red become redder, green become greener, pink become pinker. That was quite a lecture. And you said, Valerie, if you don't mind, I prefer taking any new tablet at bedtime. I took it, put it in the toilet in the evening, and flushed it. So we went back. That's another film story. We went back to breakfast the following day. Kwa, did you take the tablet? I said, oh, Valerie, the dreams are hard. My God. You know, I couldn't believe that I could go beyond my. He said, I told you, yes, a whole jar for me. I met one, a series that I was put on was called Hogan's Heroes. The only black man would not talk to me. Everybody, kwa, 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 kwa. So one day I approached him before this encounter with Valerie. One day I approached him and said, Brother Ivan, what did I do to you? Everybody says good morning. When I say good morning to you, you don't even answer. What have I done wrong? He said, brother, look around you. How many black people do you see? I have to keep my mouth shut, my big mouth shut, because if I have been hurt so hard, it is my own black people who have hurt me, because I talk about freedom, I talk about freedom of speech, and I'm taken away, and I almost lose my job. I said, no, I come from Ghana. I'm not. I've come a poor Ghanaian who is here to learn something. Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah, oh, he's my hero. This afternoon, let us go home. And before this Valerie Saki thing happened, the man said, look, Hollywood has a lot of trappings. Be careful you don't fall in any pit. They're going to, give you all kinds of stories of it, but please go home with the mind you came with. It was just before that advice that Valerie Saki brought this, hallucination tablets for me. So I went back and said, brother, thank you for saving me. That was one episode. Then I go back. When I went to America, you know, I went on green card. And green card means you have to serve in the military. When I went, and I really fancied the Americans in uniform, my God. So I didn't waste any time at all. I had started school, and when I went for induction, I went through all the military basics, only to be told that I've been given deferment because I was a full-time student. Then, bro. Suddenly, we have a call from Malcolm X. I don't know whether any of you have heard of him. Malcolm X was civil rights man. You know, he says, any means possible. Was coming to Ghana, so he comes to us, and his secretaries were with us. We talk. He wanted to know more about Ghana, so I was one of the students, so he would visit us. One day, a cameraman came after our, meeting and said, "Hey, young man, you and your group with Malcolm, I want to have a photograph." Apparently, he had been sent by the FBI because of Malcolm X and us students, being with him. The next thing I saw, I must report for induction into the American Army, by which time the Vietnam War was at its peak. Can you imagine? And blacks were being lined up at the front line. So I reported to Ambassador Kofi. He said, "No, you are not going anywhere." They counted my days as if the Gestapo was coming to pick me, simply because of Malcolm X. So I had to run away and come back to Ghana. I had to run away to come back to Ghana. Well, what do I have? I went to Ghana Film Corporation. I worked with Ghana Film Corporation. And eventually, I left to form my own company. And I went to Lentas. I founded the audiovisual department of Lentas. And then I left to found my own company, Target Advertising. Then it came to having to make my own first film. Lord Brood, 8 years. You want money, finance? Film is a very highly sensitive area. No bank will look at you. Social Security Bank had just been formed, and it was the Workers' Bank. So they listened to me, my story. They loved my story. But then I needed a house as collateral to get finance. I didn't even have a bicycle. Luckily for me, my wife had told the father. Can you imagine? An Ashanti man and his nephew, me, Fanti man, I come in, marry your daughter, and Yimaya, I say meeting. To try and find money, give me his house. So he calls me one morning and said, "Masi, Matthias Sembi Ahami, what is the problem?" Nana, my idea. He says, "I hear you want to do a project and you need a house. Why didn't you tell me?" "Oh, Papi, I should come and tell you, my in-law, that give me your house." to go and take. He said, look, I have faith in you. Can you imagine? They gave me, the man said, tomorrow come and take the papers. I took the papers. And you know, that was a big curse on me because I loved my wife. And you lose this house, you don't only lose your wife, but you might not be able to survive this earth. When I took, people like Chris Assis and whatnot who had been civil servants and all that, they didn't know the drive I had in me because I've gone to take my father-in-law's house. Hey, I would never say, cut, it's a wrap. Before I realized they had organized a strike on me. I begged and begged. And the money that the bank was even giving me, you always have to go and sit before the bank manager to beg him for the money approval that has been given for all the, he has to give you, if it's 1,000, give you 1,000. When it finishes, you come back. It was not easy. Financing in this country, eventually, we finished this film, and we had to do the post-production work, at which time, we did not have a color lab here, so we had to spend all the time in London doing post-production work, and money was not easy. I had fainted in Ghana several times for not resting and being hospitalized for a while. But when I was in hospital, I was thinking about my my father-in-law's house more than my own health, because that house has to go back. Eventually, we finished the film, we came home. The first thing I thought about is, where am I going to show this film? I was lucky in those days. You have the Orion, you have the Globe, you have the Rex, you have, about 12 houses. So we were lucky in those days, and so the film started. Back. I had paid only 50%. The next thing I heard was that Kowansa had siphoned millions of dollars into his account in Britain. Oh, I had not seen million before. How did I steal that money? So a tribunal was set up. These are some of the stories one has to tell. They were taking us to the Burma camp, and the bank governor, the staff of the Central Bank of Ghana said they wouldn't go. The tribunal must be shifted to the Bank of Ghana headquarters. So I told my wife, Ekwa, Moko, man baby owa, I am going for a tribunal if you don't see me. She started weeping. I said, take it easy, because I am not frightened. I met these soldiers led by Major Lamte. I sat there. They read, my charges, that I have made so much money that I had stifled millions. They didn't mention the amount to London. So, what do you say? I said, Mr. Chairman Major, I'm sorry such a thing should happen. In the meanwhile, I realized that my own colleagues, my own relatives were part of this whole thing, led by one Ivan Annan, because he was related to because Justice Annan was, oh, Ivan, it will come to you. So I said, I am happy that you've invited me to come and meet you, but I'm also sad that such an atrocious charges should be leveled against me. You said I have siphoned millions of dollars abroad. I thought the first thing you should have done was to give me my bank account. How this money was transferred, into what account, how much account. Please tell me, because I don't have any account. The only account I had was supported by the Bank of Ghana, so that whatever money I needed to transfer, they will supervise it for me to have. So they went into consultation and said, we'll call you again. That was the end of it. Now I'm saying all these today because the downfall of this industry comes from us. The undermining of the colleagues in this industry, instead of us coming together, that's the suffering of GAFTA. Coming together, they hate to see you succeed. I'm a hard-working person, and I love sharing ideas with the young ones. Luckily, Love Brood, had been born. I'm talking about distribution now. Where do I, apart from Ghana, the Rexus and the Globes and whatnot, where else can I go? Auntie Sarah Kunto's father was then the Deputy High Commissioner in London, writes to me, I hear there's a film festival in Cyprus. So I go to Cyprus, and the Minister of Kenya Culture sees this film and says, oh, so films can be made in Africa. I said, oh, Ghana started making films before I was born. No, this film has come to Kenya. So when you go see Mr. Njoroge of the Kenya Film Corporation, I took my film to him. He said, well, the minister has spoken to me, but this is an African film, and people don't watch African films here. I said, oh, can you try it? I gave the film to him. For good 3 months, Love Brood, because I think this is a story that was very popular in Kenya. I had a letter from 20th Century Fox. They were then showing For Your Eyes Only, James Bond's For Your Eyes Only. They wrote to the Kenya Film Corporation to pause Love Brood so they can also make some money. So at least this was a good beginning. When these things started happening, I felt back home. I consulted some colleagues I know, the Abekwe's, the Martin Lowe's, the Chris Essays, and wonder, why don't we have a film bill? And I can tell you that Ghana has come a long way. Nigerians have taken us over. But I warned our leaders that if we do not have a film bill to safeguard this industry for us. When the Nigerians have mastered the craft, they will take us over. Has it not happened? 30 years. And I heard Mr. Awindo saying that they say they are doing what? LI. Does LI take 2 years? This thing was approved by a select committee of the parliament 2 years ago, before NDC went away. MPP came to power. We have tried and tried and tried to get the sector minister to give us hearing. As far as I'm concerned now, the arts or creative arts is orphaned. Because, I mean, well-meaning countries consider the arts as a very important tool for national development. Are we playing our role? Here we are. We have such an important bill, what has taken 30 years to approve. When it came, it's been pushed in a drawer and locked it. I don't know whether Mr. Awindo is very sure that he says by January, the authority will come into place. At our age, my pain is that the younger ones coming need direction. We are talking about distribution. You know, the painful thing that sometimes for survival, the NAFTI products that I have relied upon to do a lot of things in my life have to kowtow to people whose idea is because I'm paying for it, listen to my story, do it my way, put in more insults. We are kwasia, we are bois, because that's what sells. Don't forget that the influence of the audiovisual media is so heavy that we must be careful. You know, I have tasted the talents of NAFTI. And I am not just saying this because I'm sitting here in NAFTI. They make my work very easy. They made my work very easy. And they would say, you know, I have helped them. They have helped me more than I have helped them. And I'm glad to see them around. Go to Multi TV? They are there. Go to TV3, they are there. They are all over the place, but all over the place. But NAFTI, let me tell you, you can be proud of having these people that I'm prouder. When I know you think about financing and distribution, don't you think, as I claim to have been lucky, if there were not the outlets like the Globes, like the Rex, when Nkrumah wanted to, build a film industry for this country, he knew that we needed places to screen our films. That's why when he bought that film from West African company, the Rex, the Regal, the Roxy, the Plaza, you name it, Some of us were lucky. The Tom Riberos, you name it, were also lucky to have had places to show their films. Where are they? They've all been turned into churches. And if we had this bill earlier, at least we could have gone into some discussion with the authorities. The role to play. For instance, GAFTA. Now it's being laughed at. And who are they laughing at GAFTA? Are those who think you can just take a camera, go around and shoot whatever you have, and your marketing, they do good marketing because they go to the market and give it to the market women for 3 cities, 5 cities, and whatnot. But what are we gaining? What are we gaining? Is the bill necessary? I mean, can the bill say that you cannot put insult in your AE because our children, that's what becomes the favorite balance for our children? We are suffering because, as I told you, the bill is still there. Mr. Awindo, are you there? Are you there? Please come. I want to find out. You are telling me the airline, is it the duty of the practitioners to create an airline, or it is a government duty with the Attorney General's Department to help us create the airline? Is it because of the airline that the bill has taken, which have been passed, has taken us 2 years? And you accept that?
You know, at the beginning, when I was talking, I said that there are certain, historical antecedents to this kind of thing. The way the bill was passed, it took, like you said, 3 decades before it came to being. Political ramifications, are part of it, and it's something that we cannot easily put a finger on because you just don't know why the politicians are not signing the bill or passing the bill. So whilst this bill was passed in 2016, and immediately there was a change of government, then that thing was stalled because there's a certain history to these things when governments change over. That things that were handled by the previous government, that had to do with bills and policies and all that, easily goes to stall. So it affected our film bill that was just passed. So it took an advocacy to get the ministry to change its course on dealing with the Creative Arts Council to look at the act that was passed. So that's when they created a task force, which were part of it, to spearhead the drafting of the LI. So they got a legal person from the Attorney General to sit with us, and we went on a retreat to draft the LI. Because you see, when it comes to interpreting the act, sometimes some of these legal minds will not understand the kind of things that are in our industry. So that's why they needed us to be part of this drafting of the bill, so that we make clear the provisions that were stated in the act. So that way, they would understand how to put the thing into perspective.
You see, I'm sorry to cut you, but if you look at the bill is so detailed. The bill is so detailed that whoever is drafting the LI does not need to, have another committee to look at it. This is the work of the Attorney General, who will look at the bill to create an LI.
Uncle, I think this, if we go to the LI area, there are some people right here who will take us to tomorrow morning. But I'm particularly interested in the fact that you had Orion in those days. But when you were doing Good Old Days, Orion wasn't there. Orbit, Rex. What was the distribution system like when you had to deal with Good Old Days, for instance?
You know, sadly, Good Old Days, when I did Good Old Days, I could only show them at the National Theatre for 1 week. Finished. Finished. And these films were made for the theater, but I have not, gone to the television stations. I'm now approaching them. And, there's also the broadcasting law, who should have given us a percentage, giving a percentage of local content, which would have helped you and I. That has also been stalled because of political manipulation of these bills. So, Uncle Yao, I do hope that I have somehow touched on your...
Yes, indeed you have. And I think this is where I'll call Abu, because I have to take the television people on. Once you mention television and the possible monies that can come from that end, Abu, please show your face and tell us what the linkage between this distribution and television and how it goes.
Abu, speak now, don't run away.
I'm coming to sit by you.
Come and sit by me.
Uncle.
I think we have to just make this thing complete, because there are other people who are also going to take answer on some of the issues. But I'm not qualified to do this thing. I think that, Lorraine, you are the one who is supposed to take charge of this question and answer situation. Please take the mic and invite the others.
Can we please have Madame Catherine from Global Cinema to please join Mr. Abu here? Please have a seat. Is Kofi here? I saw his shadow. Kofi Asamoah. Hello. Okay, I'm sure he'll join us soon. So, we are going to have Mr. Abu present his perspective from a TV point. I think that we've heard so much. It's like the questions, I'm sure you're overflowing with them, but let's hold on. Mr. Abu will speak. Madame Catherine will also speak from a cinema point of view. And then we'll take Q&A from any of our panel members. So, Mr. Abu, the floor is yours, and you have 5 minutes.
5 minutes is too much.
Okay,
I mean,
then.
let's keep the conversation going. It's interesting. First, I must pay my respect to the man we call the old fox, Mr. Kowansa. I trained after him. I recollect I saw him, when I was in NAFTI, and he did a presentation, I think one of our days, Jufix or something like that. And I snuck near him and I told the photographer to take a picture. This is a man who had won the Grand Prix at Fespaco. And this is the man I was going to be like in the future. I got the opportunity to do my industrial attachment with him, and then, like they say, the rest is history. I stayed with him for I think 10 years plus before I moved on. In fact, Mr. Ansah wears a lot of hats, so maybe he's even in a better position to talk about the TV distribution, because we started TV Africa together. And so he knows from that side of the business, you know, what you need to do. Well, I mean, look, I just think that from a TV perspective, it's just one of the natural orders of things in distribution. Because like Uncle Cole said, when they had the film theaters, television sets were not quite ordinary in a lot of households. So one way of distributing films was to take them to the theater and distribute them, and take them into the villages and then show them, even if you didn't have theaters, show them in open spaces for people to watch. Along came TV, and of course TV needs content, because like we said, you know, it's content. The business is a content business, and people want to watch something, so it needs content. It needs a variety of content, and film is part of it. Television shows, dramas, feature-length movies are part of what we put onto a TV screen to get people. You know, as the world changes, and especially in Ghana, where the theaters died, television then became a very solid outlet for movies. Either the person bought it and watched it on DVD, or watched it in a TV, on TV through transmission. Now, I don't know, I mean, the Uncle Cole alluded to the broadcast bill where you should have a percentage. I'm sure once that percentage is done, the TV stations will stick to it and deliver per the bill. The productions must be quality, because he also alluded to the fact that we have a lot of productions that are not quality. There must be productions that we can show before the watershed period, where we don't have insults and things that we don't want children to watch. There must be productions that must help build a national culture, that must build a culture of hard work, not productions that only tell you that the only way you can succeed is either your mother's ghost coming to help you or something like that. So, I mean, in terms of showing movies on television, you know, there are different ways that as a TV programmer, you kind of acquire the content. You acquire it through different ways. There are people who come to you with their content. There are people that you approach to acquire the content from them. There are people who want to do collaborations. There are people who want to buy the airtime and show the movie. And there are people that you ask them to buy the airtime. I'm sure that this is my 5 minutes. When we go into the discussion and people ask specific questions, then I can answer it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Audu. Madam Catherine is from Global Cinema. So we know the culture where we had cinemas, and now the cinemas have turned into something else, and there's a new phase. So she's going to talk about distribution from the cinema point of view. So.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. So the cinema business is relatively new. New in the sense that it had to, I think the old phase had to die out, and it has evolved into what it is today. The foreign movies have dominated cinema in Ghana, and that is because they have their structures, they have their systems that work, and they do their publicity, and because of social media and all the developments that have come through technology, people get to find out about the movies, they get to build an interest in one movie or another, and then come to cinema. For the local movie industry and cinema, it's been very slow. we have had to reach out to different groups to get them to, show the movies at our facility. What happens is that they would premiere the movie for a day, and that's it. It's only for the bigger producers that are able to show it continuously for maybe a week or two, and then it's done. So I think there is a need for a concerted effort from the various players in the industry to get to a point where it is, where it should be. As the legend visioned it years ago, and the way it really should be. We've come a long way. We should be further on than we are right now, but it takes a lot of effort. It takes effort. I mean, you need to work towards it and keep working towards it. And it's not just one person; it's everybody, And to have a plan as to where you want to go, give yourself timelines, and then hopefully we can get there. Hopefully we can get there. Thank you.
Okay, so I would start with a question to the both channels. Mr. Nsad has spoke extensively about how it was for him then, and the challenges and the legislature that has to change to make sure that what he went through would not happen, and for the betterment. What I see a lot of young people, that means that upcoming filmmakers as well. Today, there's opportunities. I want to ask a question, for example, to Mr. Wudu. If I am a young producer, I have my film, right? I want to be able to distribute through your channels, through Global Cinema or through multi-TV. If you can quickly talk us through the simple procedures that we need to go, then we can open the floor for the challenges so that those who have experienced it can talk about the challenges, and those who are not can see the potential in them. So I don't know who wants to take it. If I want to, Global Cinema is available, cinema as a distribution channel. What do I do?
Okay, so most people have come to us directly as producers or filmmakers that they have a new movie out and they would want to premiere it. Two options are available. One, that you rent the space for as long as you want to show it for. And then on the day, there will be the hype, the publicity, the red carpet and all that. And then you show the movie. A number of people, in fact, more people have come to us for a collaboration so that instead of having to rent the place, they would rather, get the people in, do the marketing, and then do a split, of the revenue from the premiere. That is it's more popular for those who come to us, but it's a little more difficult because a lot of times people come in without having prepared for, the work of publicity and all that. And there are a lot of factors that, play a role in whether people would come to watch the movie on that day or not. For instance, the World Cup, the last World Cup, it affected those who were premiering their movies around that time because people prefer to watch soccer, than to watch. So those are the things we would decide on. Yeah.
Mr.
Okay, for television is different. Let look at it from a global perspective, then we can look at it from Ghana. You know, for the movies that we get from the global players that we show on TV, TV is at the bottom of the distribution chain. People will release a movie and go to the theaters. You know, they'll do their theater run. Maybe they'll do SVODs, DVDs. They'll do pay TV. They'll do maybe a second window, a holdback on pay TV before they come to free TV. So it's quite at the bottom of the range. And it's a straight deal. They will bring you a list of the movies. You select the movies you want. You go back to the film house. You tell them you negotiate. You sign the deal and you show it for the license period and the license amount. In Ghana, it's quite different. A lot of the times, individual filmmakers do not come to us. A lot of film distributors kind of acquire the rights. A few filmmakers come to us, but let me talk about the way the film distributors who have gotten rights from filmmakers come to you and try and market the film. Either it's a straight deal where they come and they give you a film for a certain amount of money that you have agreed upon. You sign the deal, you show the film, you pay the person. The challenges in that is that you have to be very careful and be sure that the person has the right, the legal right to give you the film. So that means that you need to do a lot of background work. You need to get the person to have brought an authorization note, something from the producer to show that the producer had given the person the right to show the movie before you show it. I mean, once in a while, you get into trouble because maybe an authorization note is fake, your cross-checks were not thorough enough. On the other side, there are also film producers who come to us as individual producers who are not distributors. And normally those who come to us like that are more of just distributors who have gathered films and then distribute it through TV and then give a share to the film producer. So if you're a young person, if you don't want to go walk directly to individual TV stations, you can look for one of the big distributors to work through. If you want to come directly to the TV station, you can come and we can negotiate. There are some producers who have worked out a certain model. They have a movie that they've released, they've done the theater run, they put it on DVDs, they've sold it to online channels, they've done some distribution in America and everything. They've kind of milked it. Then they come to the TV station and say, look, I'm going to premiere this film, my new film that I'm coming, and I have this movie. And then we kind of agree on a sum that we give to them, and then we give them that in exchange airtime to promote the new movie that they're about to launch, to create that marketing buzz that Catherine was talking about. Because I think that's the gap sometimes, that all the money has gone into making the movie, and they don't have enough money to market, you know, and use creative ways of marketing, and therefore they go to Silverbird and hire the movie, the theater, or do a revenue split, and they are not driving traffic to the place. And that's why I believe that TV is quite, you know, an important mix in the distribution. No matter how you want to distribute, if you want to even go to theaters, TV must play a certain nice mix. The others who don't have a lot of movies, so they won't come and exchange a movie. But what we do on some of our channels is that they'll give you the movie in, you do a deal, so you get a movie maybe in a year's time or 6 months' time, but you give them a certain amount of money to use our media outlets to market. So the producer comes to you and says, look, I have this movie, I want to premiere it. We watch it, it fits the bill, and then we negotiate a sum of money, and we say, okay, we are going to use that money to promote on TV and on radio and online for you. And once you've done the theater run and you've done your other distribution, in a year's time, you can give us the movie for us to show on TV. So those are basically the processes and procedures that young filmmakers can use.
Okay. Okay, so
yeah. Mr. Bekwe wants to ask a question, I suppose. But before that, I wanted to ask Uncle Ko, because he was saying that when he did Good Old Days, he only showed it at National Theatre, and that was it. But I remember some of your movies went out beyond Accra, for instance. Koforidia. Is it that somebody took it and probably exhibited it there and took a portion. Has that arrangement ever been considered? That people can take over your film and probably show it somewhere and take a portion and give it?
Well, you have middlemen who come. I wouldn't call them distributors. They hear that you've got a film. They come as middlemen. They give you all kinds of, promises. Uncle Yao, they are as bad as not haven't given your film to anybody to show. No, it's been quite frustrating. That's why I felt that if all of us can come together and discuss this thing seriously and not undermine the effort we are making, because definitely we should make the TV owners. Unfortunately, I used to be one.
You still are.
And circumstances beyond my control has now put me on the bench instead of being in front of the action. So it makes people like me, even if people like me are frustrated when it comes to distribution. Because look, there are tricksters all over the place. All they think about is not encouraging you to make more money, to make more films, but encouraging themselves to make money off you. 50-50. Oh, they give you 60, make you happy, 70 to make you happy. Before you realize you are not even getting 5. You are not getting 5. Because, you see, there are no laws actually controlling the say. That's why the bill is so much to my heart. And if anybody gets to read the film bill, I mean, all of you, the Abekwe, the Boache, the Liners, you name it. We met, we brought Kuma wood, what is the other wood? Gallywood. We brought them all together to have a say in this thing. But they don't see what you, the trained ones, are doing as film making. No. It's sad. And you see, my worry is that we are bringing these telenovelas, which are French, Indian, and whatnot, Mexican, and now dubbing them into Akan. So if your Akan film is good, I don't see why it cannot be dubbed into, say, Indian, Hindu, to be shown there. Now, the problem we have now, because we have nothing regulating us, the work of apprenticeship is gone out of our vocabulary. Everybody is a filmmaker. Everybody is a filmmaker. But is that what the situation must be? Let's face it, Nigeria, you can see a lot of, rubbish films, but you can see also a lot of good films because they now have come together with some laws guiding this to help them strengthen the industry. We don't have it. We do not have it. So it's affecting the core of our industry. Everywhere you turn, nothing is happening. For instance, just that if you make your film, at times I go and sit inside there, and you have about 30 people.
I've worked with 4 people before.
Yes. Sometimes less. Yeah. So it does not encourage, as we say, when we were kids, We were prepared. If the story is interesting, picky, when they say, oh, picky, when it's coming, simple stories, progress in Kojo Chrome. When this film came, we all would rush to the park to watch it. Why have we not, encouraged the expansion of viewership? And you can only do this when there is a bill and the government is involved to help build this industry. I mean, the support is not there. And we'll be joking, we'll be talking about this thing. For instance, I'm now talking with my son here, who is at AE, to show my film. Sometimes when I call him, he doesn't even answer me.
Mr. Abu, please speak that. Mr. Bekwe, can you please, you have the mic, please go ahead with your comments.
Well, thank you very much. I actually wanted to hear my brother call, speak the whole night, and I'm sure he can speak through the night. And I also thought that the students will ask him more questions because he has been through it, he's done it, and he's seen it all from the beginning to the end. But when the global lady spoke, I wanted to ask her, what format is he using? What studies, what model? Because she's told me something that really is not what a cinema house should do. And my son, Abu, he gave us a textbook rendition of what a TV station can do and must do. I believe, as Uncle Ko says, if there is a law, things will fall into place. But first, Madam, you answer the question and then we will carry on.
Okay. I think I skipped to the end as to what happens here in Ghana when it comes to the cinema industry.
Okay, hold on. So you know what happens somewhere?
Yes.
That's not Ghana. And
Yes.
it's different from what you do here.
Yes.
That's what I want to know.
Okay.
How come you came by that? Because you saw us like this, or what?
I think there is, the fundamental problem is a structure
That's right.
to the industry.
That's right.
Out there are structures. So for the foreign movies, which appear to be more popular than the locally produced movies, they have distribution networks. For West Africa and for East Africa, their distributors are in Nigeria. So for every movie that comes from any studio, most studios from the UK, from the US, it will go through the distributors to the cinemas.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we don't have that structure for the local movie producers, that is why they come to us individually.
You mean the producers come to you individually?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, this, the name used to be West Africa something something. It's acronym, that's the distributors for films from the UK and so forth. Is that what you are referring to?
No, there are other Film One, Silverbird. Silverbird is
No. I'm talking about the organization that you say, bring films from outside UK and so forth too.
No, there are quite a number of them.
Okay, because there used to be a centralized one. We know about that. But whatever is, if you have an organization outside, the local market will be different.
Definitely,
Right.
it would be different.
So I'm asking, for instance, let me be blunt. I actually wanted to congratulate you, incidentally, for starting that thing, because I've been agitating. People will tell you, among my friends, that we should encourage private people to build cinemas. Right. It's the only way, so congratulations. But with what you just told me, I wanted to ask, why should I, a producer, bringing a film to your theater to be shown, go about publicizing and marketing it?
You want to know why the producer should market the movie. Right. It is because it is the only way people will get to know about it. And yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. Because I said I want my brother to speak more about this, I will cut it. Uncle Abu, I said you give us a textbook definition. My question to you is, why should even us go about to a TV station begging them to show our films? Should I stop here?
I mean, it's a very interesting question, and I meet it quite often. Actually, a TV station, you don't have to go to a TV station and beg them to show your movie. A TV station is always looking for content. So on my channel, if I have a slot, and I know that I have a movie slot, and I know that in a year, a week, I'm going to show 5 movies, and 52 weeks, I'm going to show 52 times 5 movies. I have somebody in my department who is in the programming department who is doing acquisitions and who is going around and looking for distributors and saying, look, Charlie, can you bring me a list of films? I want to preview them and select the films. But there are also businessmen and individual producers who don't want to give their film to distributors, who want to trade on their own, who want to come to you and say, look, I want to do my deal because like Uncle Cole said, some of the distributors are shady. Some of them will collect your movie and do not pay you when the TV station has paid them. The money never trickles down to you. Be chasing the man for your money all the time. So actually, we use all the 2 models. And in fact, my answer was really not textbook, because the textbook would have been, I'll look at your avail list. You send me an avail list. I'll look at your avail list. I'll select the movies I want. You give me screeners. I watch the screeners. I do a negotiation with you. You send me a deal memo. I sign off the deal memo. You send me a long form. We sign off the long form. You send me the material when I pay and I show the material. That's his textbook. Our market, like Catherine said, is really not structured. And if you want to follow textbook, then there might be a possibility that you're going to leave a lot of people outside. So TV stations have adapted sometimes. Again, for TV series and not movies, we often get the question, why should a TV station charge a producer to come and buy airtime to show their series? How come? You should be paying me money. There are producers who will not take any money. They want to buy the airtime because they have developed a business model which is good for them. They know the marketing managers. They produce the content. They know how they fund their content. They know the margins they are making if they negotiate well for the airtime. And if you have available airtime, you sell it to them. There are others that will go to them and follow the same format that I've told you about. Look, I want series to show. Give me your avail list. I'll look through the avail list and select them. And we'll negotiate a price and we'll pay. I think our model, like Catherine said, because we do not have structures and it's still evolving and developing, different people approach it differently. And it's basically from the point of view of the producer. It depends on how the producer wants to approach it. It's not normally the TV station. It's how the producer wants to approach it. There are Ghanaian series that I buy from foreign distributors. So he's a Ghanaian producer. He has produced his series. Court West in Ivory Coast, who is a television distributor, has bought the African rights of his series from him. And I need a series, and I go to Court West, and they give me the avail list, and I select the series, and I pay Court West to pay him. He's chosen. And the other people who will come to me and holding their series and decide that they want to do a negotiation directly with the TV station and do that negotiation. In fact, a lot of times, the reasons why it ends up like that is that at the conceptualizing stage of the series, TV stations are not involved. If I had sat down with you and commissioned a series from you, or I've been part of the idea, then we are working together. But if you have gone and produced your content, you've looked for your sponsors, in fact, you've embedded the sponsors' products within the drama series that you have created, therefore limiting the TV station's opportunity to go out to the same sponsors and market advertising and sponsorship deals to them. In fact, you have milked all the commercial side of it. And I'm sure you have a lot of money in your pocket and you've decided you want to give the TV station some. You know.
Okay. I think there are questions on the floor. So
Yes,
you can direct your question to any of the Mr. Ansa, Mr. Abu, and Madam Katrin. There are two hands here.
Yes, I know. Ebiko raised the hand earlier on. Eja Badaka. All right.
Madam.
Okay, Pascaline is right.
Yes. And there are two hands on the left side.
Yes, I want to talk to him based on the series, what he said just now. Mr. Abu, concerning this TV series thing, there's nowhere I have been holding my scripts and my story and my finished products, and I have been told that I will be paid for it. Since I have, it's been over 10 years, I haven't seen it.
Nowhere
so
in
what,
Ghana?
Yes. Any TV station. So what you're telling me
that
right
somebody
now,
will pay for it.
that
the
the
TV
station will pay me for my series.
Oh, unfortunately, then it's been difficult
That's
for you.
why I'm saying that.
Because
I
currently,
haven't heard it.
But currently, I'm doing it with Sankofa.
Okay, just hold on.
So it's possible.
Okay, hold on.
If you bring
now,
a good series.
Good.
Yeah.
Now, apart from that, you take it, they go through your script, they watch the movie or your first 3 episodes to see if it's okay. And then they tell you to come later, we'll think about it, we'll go for a meeting. You keep going up and down, up and down, up and down. By the time you realize storyline has been twisted, title has been changed, characters have been edited, and your thing is on TV, and you are holding the original. So why would I come to you? You are also part of the problem. You have discouraged some of us so much that anytime we hear about TV and filming, we just look at you like he's just joking. Because you have pushed most of us away. I have a friend who has done a series for almost 5 years now. The thing is lying in her house, and she keeps complaining because everywhere she goes, she has to pay for it. She has to buy airtime, and she's wondering why. Meanwhile, you want content, and we bring you content, and we have to pay.
No, I kind of tried to explain to you because, you know, your friend went and shot a series. I don't know what kind of research she did. I don't know if she took any specific TV stations, audience, demographics into consideration. I don't know if she asked what she wanted to do and has created a series and is walking around and may walk around with the series for 20 years because she did not take into consideration anything. I mean, no, that's not harsh. It's true. She may walk around with the TV series for 20 years. And the other people who have come with the TV series that the station have gobbled. In fact, at one time, Ivan put a teaser of a program that he was working on, a TV series. And quickly I called him and I said, Charlie, is the series ready? How many have you shot? And I mean, what can we do with it? Or maybe I couldn't afford the money that he wanted for the series. But I was willing to do it. And I'm telling you that currently with Adum TV, we are doing a collaboration. They came to us, we told them where to go with the script, we told them the ideas they went to do, they shot it, and we are coming. And it's a TV series in Chi that shows from Monday to Friday. And it's shown twice in the slot within 24 hours. So maybe, unfortunately, you've taken your scripts to people, and that's a risk that you need to take. Because if you decide that because I think people will steal my script, I'm sure before Uncle Cole got funding for Lab Brood, he has shared the script with more than 2 or 3 or 4 banking houses for them to see. You know, people can steal your script, but they can never execute it the way you can execute it. But if you are afraid, and I guess so, and it's difficult because then when we go into, if I really want to behave like a TV exec, then I will say that I will not take anything that I have not commissioned from you. If you come in front of my desk and you leave a video, I will not watch it. If you come and you do not sign a kind of form, that a waiver, I will not watch it because ideas are not unique to you. You are going to drop the idea there. I've seen people sit in front of me and told me that, you know, Ghana's Most Beautiful on TV3, you know, it's my idea that they stole. You know, Mentor is my idea that they stole. When we all know that Mentor is American Idol. I mean, so how are we going to work if If you have an idea, come and pitch just an idea. If the TV station is interested in it, we will fund it. But if you fund it and it's good, we'll also buy it if we can buy it. And a lot of times the challenge is that when you bring your series to us and you want us to buy the series, you want to cover the whole production cost for the series, which is impossible in a market like Ghana. So you have to go through all the distribution chain and know that you are bringing it to a free-to-air television station who can afford to pay X amount because the advertising market will only afford to pay Y amount for the series. Because you can't bring your series to me and want me to pay for the total production cost of your series. It's impossible. I cannot make the money.
Okay, mine is a contribution. Okay, I keep hearing textbook things. Anything that is textbook is a tried and tested process. Okay, it's a tried and tested process that has become international. If you want to sit in Ghana and you won't do textbook things, then we will deal with this market that we have. Our firms will not go anywhere. The Nigerians have learned to play as it is in the international market. Possibly they are doing the textbook stuff with some little tweak to suit their environment. So their firms are moving out of Nigeria. Don't forget they have the population. If they want to keep their firms within their country, they can still make money. But their firms are going to Gambia, come to Ghana, Liberia, Kenya, all over the place because they are dealing with what we are calling textbook procedure. We have to try to learn what applies internationally to be able to play in the international market. Okay, one thing I also want to say that is the distributor's responsibility to market films. It is not the exhibitor's responsibility. We should get that straight. The exhibitor can also assist with promotion, marketing of a film, but that is not their primary responsibility. If we are going to go to the exhibitor, producer, I want to do self-distribution, why wouldn't I market my film? That is what it's supposed to be.
Okay, I mean, even as we go around looking for questions, I'm also coming back to video, DVD, whatever tapes. It's also been part of the distribution system. And so those of you who have had that experience, Mr. Sir, for instance, did do a lot of video distribution, DVD distribution. How did that work, even as we look for other questions from you?
Yes. Mr. Bosopim.
Okay. One advice, don't ever take your idea to any television station and go and discuss. Ideas cannot be registered. Do you understand? Yeah, there are younger ones here. What they said, oh, you could come to us, we discuss. Don't ever. It's a crime. Me, I'm a litigant. I've gone to court on these issues before, so I know, even including this place, Abu's place. I've gone there to discuss issues, and the next moment I see it's on another channel. So you have to be careful. Do not. I've gone to court for 4 years on some of these things. Do not. When you get your ideas, even if you don't have money, keep it. If you get the money or you get your friends and come together, try and build something. And when you have worked together and you go and register that, take that content and go to them. That one you can go to court after that. But don't ever go and describe whatever your ideas you have. Ideas cannot be registered. It's not legal. You can't in any way go back and go and fight them. It won't work. The TV stations, so far as I'm concerned, what you mentioned about international practices, they are not practicing it. Do they have commissioning officers, editors? They don't. They are trying to create it. When they created a bit, GBC tried something like that with Ultimate Paradise. It worked a bit. Then another, I remember TV3 have tried Peep and all those things. And I think Ivan, they saw you with some other things. After a while, they coil up because they realize that they also have to go into distribution. You know, when they've commissioned you to do it, they have to get their money back. They want to also get it the same way that we producers or filmmakers or whatever we want to do when we want the thing in bulk at the same time. They also want their money immediately. They don't think about that trickle effect and say that we can distribute it within a particular channel. They don't do that. Do they do it? They don't. So when they commission you, they also want to get their money immediately. That's where the problem is. And so if they understand it that way, why are they not doing it? Why do they want us to do that? Do you understand? So we all have problems. But the truth is, Uncle Cole, the law that you're talking about, we are working on it. And we are making sure that all these things that you're talking about are fixed in there. And that's the essence of the legislative instrument. So that we should be there to tell these lawyers and all those people how the processes should be followed. So that we can get all those things stuck in there and becomes law. In that case, the TV stations cannot treat us the way they are treating us now. In that same manner, those other distribution whatever people can also treat us the way they are treating us now. Thank you very much.
I want to state a bias. Can the microphone go to the younger hands as well, so that there are a lot of young people at the back? Bias first. Let's hear because some of us will get the opportunity to talk to our panelists, but they may never get that opportunity. So let's have a bias here. Mr. Wache, there are some hands here, and this. Okay.
I have two questions.
Okay, thank you.
One to Mr. Abu and then the other to Madam Catherine.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Abu said that Madam Pascaline's friend has content which will stay there because she didn't come to do any research about demographics.
May.
Pardon?
I said May.
Okay, yeah. And because there was no research about demographics and all of that. Now, I wanted to know, the Indian movies and series that are being on TV now and are dubbed into our local languages, maybe I don't know, but do they do any research? Do they come here to do demographics? All of those things. Now, the second question is to Madam Catherine. If I have a movie and I want to come there, can you educate us on the percentages? Like you said, we have to come for partnerships and all of that, if that's the way forward. What's really the deal and more, please? Thanks.
Okay. I really can't see you because of the light, but I'll talk to the darkness. Yes, they do. They do research. I'm currently doing a co-production with Z International, and you should see a series which is being shot in Africa, and you should see the questionnaires that they send to us, the demographics, who we are targeting, the constitution of our population, who specifically do we want to speak to, what are the holidays, national holidays that are in the country that must reflect in the story. You'll be amazed about the questions they send to you before they go into production. So yes, they do. But they didn't produce it primarily for our market. So for the TV stations who do those acquisitions, we also do internal research here, and we know that the products will work. It is very important. And the products work, whether you like it or not. Today I sit here as a television executive, but I'm a trained filmmaker. And it works. So, I don't know if I've answered your question. Have I?
Madam Catherine.
Thank you. For movie producers, it depends. It depends on a number of things. It's not a cut and dry process. We would want to see what the storyline is. We also want to find out how well you've done with your movies. We would want to see a marketing plan before we decide to do any kind of partnership, because I think we've reached out to a number of producers over time, because we wanted to produce we still want to produce promote on premiering any movie. We found out that it's easier to just rent the space and show the movie. It's straightforward. we have less risk. It's easier. It is really easier. There are instances when people say, oh, we'll bring so many people to the cinema. We'll do. 2/3 of them are complimentary tickets, and you can't make any money off those tickets. So there are challenges with doing those things. But yes, we would like to speak with you. We would like to discuss your plan, and we make an input when we can. And, well, we'll see how it goes.
Go ahead, please.
Hello, madam.
Yes, hello.
Before I go on with my question, I want to ask you, how many halls do you have in your cinema?
How many halls?
Halls do you have? Before I go with my question.
Can you ask a question, then she can answer?
I want to make a stand on it. 3 with how many?
3 halls.
How much do you rent per one, please? Yeah, I want to know before I have my question.
No.
Because I want to ask you, why will you split 50-50 with me if I'm to partner with you? I'm the same person to go for marketing. So if I'm a producer, I spent 70,000 cedis on a film, spend 30,000 on marketing. I come, if your hall costs me like, let me say, 10,000 cedis for the day, I come looking at my 100,000 cedis budget for marketing and production, and I split my profits with you 50-50, which I disagree. Because at the end of the day, I get to lose at a very high cost. That's my problem with the cinemas. Now, I don't know.
I will do all. Mr. Answer.
The one with the
Mr. Okay,
yeah.
He wants to call up.
For a film producer to bring his movie and say, 1 year to come, you can air my film for me, but help me promote my film on your televisions or radio, perhaps. Do you intend gift? Okay, take 50% of the profits you were supposed to get from me, and I'll use 50% as a promotion. That's what I want to know from you.
No, I don't understand.
Like, if I'm to give my film to you,
yeah,
at a rate of, let me say, 50,000 cedis,
yep,
for you to air it in the next year, but you promoting my film might be like 20,000 cedis.
No.
Like, I'm making an emphasis,
okay,
like film promotion or like hyping my movie for me to premiere. Cost 20,000. Will you give me 30,000 cedis out of that money? If you do understand me. Cost of advertisement is 20,000. And cost of you buying this my film for me a year to come is 50,000. Will you give me 30,000 and say, okay, I'm using 20,000 for advertisements?
Or would I pay you that 30,000?
Yes.
In cash?
In cash. And say I'm keeping the 20,000.
In lieu of the showing?
Yes.
If I think that the film will give me enough money, why not? I mean, it's just about the numbers. Like I said, if I have a film that I know the whole of Ghana wants to watch, and I'm going to make, I can go to advertisers, and when I show the film, I can make 100,000. Why not?
Okay.
Why not?
Our time is fast going, so we probably are going to take 3 more questions.
Okay.
And then.
Can we bunch some of the questions so that when they take the mic, they answer? So maybe. And please keep your answers tight so that we can have more. Okay.
Good evening to you all. I would like to share a little bit of my story with the young filmmakers here. 2015, before I came to NAFTI in 2017, I produced a series and I sent it to TV3. And this was the deal that I had. I had 40% and they had 60%. But one thing I realized was they had more of adverts on it. So they were making the money, and I was sitting there watching every week, and it was flying. So, and I went ahead to try to do a second production, different title. So I went to GH1, and my boss saw me, and he asked me to do 1 or 2 on it, and he asked me if I have any other product, content, and I said yes. So I also sent my series to GH1. Then I realized the TV station, they have marketers. Now, when they buy the foreign content or they have content, they give the marketers targets, bring this number of sponsors or adverts on this content. So why is it that we, the young producers, when we bring our content and you take it, meaning it's good to be aired, you've taken it. Young producer, I have to struggle all the way to produce. Why you give me 50-50? That's what TV2, I don't want to talk about that. The idea was bad. Now, why is it that with the young producers, you do the same to how you get the foreign content, and let marketers give them targets, put sponsors on this because it's still airing. Now you don't lose because you have the airtime and you have taken my content. So you enjoy because you are feeding your viewers. For me, the young producers, I get to lose. So please, I think the TV station, I'm posing a question to Mr. Abu because it's...
yes, so can you please sum the question? We get the premise. Yeah.
Yes, so it's appealing. Actually, I'm appealing on behalf of all young producers. So that when we bring the content and you accept, try and get sponsors on it so that we, the young producers, we can get some so we can produce more.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll take more and then Mr. Abu, you can react.
I think that I need to... I'm not representing TV people. I do TV business, yes. I think that I need to make an observation. We are trying to eliminate distributors from our industry, and we do not want to take on the responsibilities distributions do. So if you're a young producer and you walk to a TV executive's office, you have skipped a distributor. You should be ready to promote your product. You should be ready to make money out of your product on your own. You are a producer. You cannot bear the risk of what a distributor will bear. And so when you take the content, you think that it is not your duty to market it. You think that it's not your duty to look for sales. Distributors perform specific duties. Give your productions to them. Have a good agreement with them. And most of us do not take the trouble to understand the legalities of a contract, do not understand the operations, and we just subject ourselves to any agreement. Sometimes when I sit in my office, some people come and all they say is, boss, I just want it to be on TV. You put it on TV. When sponsors see it and money come, we will share. You say that to me, and I'll tell you, I am sorry. I won't put it on TV. Let us create distributors in Ghana. So when you produce, you strike an agreement with the distributor. The distributor is capable of looking for market for you, multiple markets. When he put them together, you get your production cost. If you are carrying your movie alone, you will have to send it to one person, send it to another person before you can get your production cost. But the distributor will be giving you money. What we don't have is distributors we can trust. We should create distribution networks so they take on some of the responsibilities. Otherwise, you will be blaming and lamenting forever and thinking that a TV station was set up to show your content, and he is not. That is not what they were set up to do. They were set up to make profit. They are commercial TV stations. So they will take decision on money over your interest if legislation is not put in place. Mind you, they will also raise concerns when the legislations come that they have to be protected. So let us put distribution between us and the exhibitors so they take half of the risk from us. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have the last two, please?
Okay. Good evening. Listening to the discussions, it appears in Ghana we've been operating a black market film industry because there has been absence of structure. My question is there or are there timelines to work on building the structure? That's one. Number two, on distribution. Madam Catherine, please, do you put up yearly reports for film makers and investors to know the trend I'm talking about yearly report. Do you put that up for filmmakers or film investors to know the trend? And my last one is to Uncle Kwao. Uncle Kwao, what is your advice to us, the young people, who want to give it a shot? Thank you.
Okay, the last question. So, Catherine, do you put out a yearly report? And Coco, your advice to young people, and then the timelines for the structures that have to put place. Can we have the last one? And then
my first question goes to Madam Catherine. I want to find out from her, global cinema, why are they not expanding into the other regions? That's my first question. And my second question is to Uncle Kwao, concerning the DVD market. Okay. I think formerly I used to find most of his movies also on the market, Opera Square and at Kanta, and the price of his movie was even higher than the other movies, but people were buying them. All of a sudden, one day we went to the market, there were no DVDs. I mean, the DVD market has now collapsed. So we can't explain. Nobody can explain. All of a sudden. So most of the shops at Opera Square have now converted to a different form of shops. Please, I want him to address that one too.
Okay, so Madam Catherine, why are you not expanding, and do you give us reports?
Okay, so we have information on the trends, the movies, the performance of each movie from our cinemas, but for the local market, we have the information, but no one is asking for it. No one is asking for it. Until very recently, I had not had to give out any such information. But yes, we do have a database. If you expansion, we are looking to open up a couple of theaters in Accra, and then we'll move on from there. So it's in the works.
Sir, the DVDs, why are there no longer DVDs, your DVDs on the market? And your advice to young people?
This one, is it working?
Yes. Yes.
Oh. I heard Uncle Kwesi talking about the ideal distributor, which we do not have yet. Now, there are more pirates on the market now, than distributors. Their main interest is to steal other people's work, sell it to make money, and the money doesn't come to you. When we started, some of the people came forward. They, gave back some money, even though it wasn't enough, but at least you expected to have about a third of the sales they made. These days, they won't give you anything at all. Now, I heard Mr. Bosompim so convincingly saying the law. They're going through the law detail by detail to get it right. We are waiting. It has taken Mr. Bosompim 2 years. And normally, allies don't take 2 years. It doesn't take 2 years. The young ones are asking, what is my advice?
No, George, can he please finish and then, okay, thank you.
The young man is saying, what is my advice to, yes, the law must be done, but keep hope alive. We've hoped for far too long. And I'm surprised that Mr. Bosompim is so convinced. Have you asked why someone had to keep this thing for over a year and a half before he called you people to come and help with the LI? Aren't you looking at the very bill, whatever, the document that was passed at Parliament to create your bill, couldn't the, what do you call it, the Attorney General go through this? Are all allies passed on to stakeholders to work on it? No. I'm surprised you are being political with these things. You are being political. This thing could have been done without even involving you, because the document is so detailed. Have you read the document?
I'm sure.
You say the Attorney General, all they had to do is to turn them into legal language. That's all. To turn into legal. You are not going to turn that into legal language. What advice are you going to give them, apart from what has been put in the bill and passed in Parliament? Parliamentarians, before they passed this, had select committee to have about 3 weeks at Novotel. Stakeholders were there. Stakeholders, we helped them to couch whatever language they had to. So it is the duty of our sector ministry to work with the Attorney General to get us a pass. Now they pass it on to you. Are you a lawyer?
On that law note, I think that we have, unfortunately, we can't exhaust all the conversation, but one thing I would say I have learned today, and also being a producer, like Mr. Ayabless said, that the channels have to work. We have to trust our distributors. I will share an experience. And if people want to act as distributors, like Mr. Ansan also said, they have to be honest people. Because we produce and we want one channel to pay all our bills for us as producers. And I think having learned you can sell your film to the TV station, you can show it at the cinema. This day, social media, you can sell online, pay per view. You can sell to the airlines, but sometimes as filmmakers, just like a film, somebody is a producer, somebody is a camera person, somebody is a sound person, the same way somebody is a distributor. So if you want to take up the role of selling your own film, then you have to understand it. I learned the hard way, and I'm happy that I produced and I got a distributor, because if I didn't know a distributor, one time they showed me big money, and then I signed only to realize that I've sold my life. But when the distributor came, I learned that I can sell to airline, I can sell to TV, and I can sell to pay TV. So the same film, I'm still making money, and hopefully, no matter how long it takes, you make money. The cinemas are there, but Mr. Ansap rightly said, we have to come together to negotiate. Somebody said, what's the percentage? Why should I give you my film and then go around advertising for you to make money? We have to be united so that when I go and I get 70-30, when you also go, you get 70-30. Otherwise, when we are not united, we don't get the best deals for them. Mr. Abu, last words from you, and then the conversation does not end. We need to have it among ourselves. So they're going to have their last words, and then so Catherine, and then we end it on the side. George, let's have the. Yes, we will have you corrected after the last statement. Okay, the microphone.
So Catherine, the me, and Uncle Coco.
Okay. I think we can all agree that we can all agree on the fact that we need to structure the industry. We can all agree that we need to have or take a united stance and decide where we want to go and how we want to get there. I think the stakeholders, should find a way to get together. We can use this very forum as a starting point where we put all the players together and start something. I think once we decide to unite, we can find a way to put pressure on the legislators. And, you know, before you know, we could be more, they would be coming to us, you know, as the industry players to drive certain things. But until then, we'll find out that we're all making some effort in some direction, which is not yielding the kind of results that we would want. So the first thing is to come together and decide where we want to go to and how we want to do it. And then I think the rest will fall into place.
I think that for us as content creators, we should be in paradise now, because the distribution channels that are currently in play are so many. It's not as if it is just theater or television. There are so many distribution channels that if we leverage on, we can really exploit our content very well. I also believe that if we do not move away from where almost every discussion is like a zero-sum game, where we do not negotiate, we do not work together for people to have, for all parties, you know, to benefit from the negotiations, we'll keep having this discussion, because I think that's the fundamental problem with our industry, that every discussion is almost a zero-sum game. Everybody looks at the discussion from their position, and they don't see that there's a chain, and everybody in the chain must make money so that the chain survives. And it's very important that we sit together as stakeholders, like Catherine said, to be able to understand that we need every player in this for us to be able to make money. Then we can all make money, we can be happy, the structure will be there. So for me, the last thing is that negotiation is not about winner takes all. When you negotiate, it's about both people walking away happy with what they want to get.
Okay, Ms. Ansang, you have the last word. Any last word?
All I have to say is that there is hope. And you, the young ones, should not give up. Nobody has ever had it easy in this industry. But you must double your effort. And whilst you are doubling your effort, I do hope that the authorities will not play politics with a bill that is so important to help this country and to help filmmakers play their legitimate role in nation building. Don't give up. A time will come, don't give up. I and maybe Msabusumpim will not understand this, but I'll give you something before he comes on. Can you believe that this film bill, the last day with the select committee at the Novotel, they said, we thought every issue has been exhausted. They asked Mr. Ansah, what do you say? I said, please let this bill go. If there is any changes we have to make, we can make it later. One person raises his hand and said, honorable members, I have a problem. What's your problem? This bill that is before you, which has been approved, does not encourage pornography. No, I am saying this. And those people are now in authority. The reason why this thing has taken about 2 years. So I get up and said, young man, you mean with all our problems and the power of the audiovisual media, all that concerns you is pornographic, authorization? He says, but Uncle God, no, this is Kaba. No, seriously, we have a problem. And this character has a big role to play in the passing of this thing. Why should it take 2 years? If this thing is so important for our development, why should it take 2 years? Maybe you haven't heard it.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Unfortunately, we have to end this discussion, but the program does not end. There's more to come. Thank you, Mr. Utu. Thank you, Mr. Nsa. Thank you, Catherine, for your time. And we move on to the next stage of the program. Thank you. Mr. Bosompem.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Bosompem. Mr. Bosompem, 3 times.
Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, as part of the organizers have not given me the mandate to pass microphone, so sorry. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Bosompem. We are really far behind time. I think that we will still take your comment and make good use of it. We will still take your comment, Mr. Bosompem. There are a lot of things that people have to say. I think yeah, we will resolve it. We thank you very much for coming. We've come to the final bit of it, and I'd like to invite the rector of NAFTI, Dr. Nai, to come and help me do this. And Mr. Yabuachi will also come and help me do this. We, as NAFTI alumni, we really cherish the contributions of Mr. Kowansa to our development and our training. And it's been a lot of years. For me, it's been 20 years of his tutelage. There were a lot of people before me, and we believe that there are a lot more to come. It's a very emotional moment for me because I see him as my father. I know that what he wants to do is to call 6 strong boys and lay me here and give me lashes because I've been truant. But on behalf of NAFTI alumni, we would like to do this little presentation. The presentation says, for your continuous support and contribution to the training and development of film and television professionals, Mr. Cole Pensilansa, NAFTI alumni, and NAFTI, we say thank you. And for what you've been saying every time, we chose the 2-headed crocodile. And what you always say, why do we fight for food when we have the same stomach? And so, for film professionals in Ghana, why do we fight when we can come together and present a common case? We thank you very much, Mr. Kowansa. We appreciate the time that you've given us. We appreciate all the training you've given us. We appreciate all the advice that you've given us. And NAFTI alumni is very, very proud of you. Yes. So we thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Bye. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. The band can please give us some music and we'll go. Dr. Nai, we need to take a picture here. Ladies and gentlemen, the party continues on this side. There are drinks and small chops. Let's make merry. It's been a good evening for all of us. We thank you all for coming. We are grateful. Thank you very much.
Everybody, hold your baby closer. Dance to the disco song. Song, stereo song. Be my love, baby. Hey, 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 my baby. Come, my legs are shaking now. Come, my legs are shaking. My woman,
the party continues.
Let's dance to the disco songs, oh baby, we gonna rock to the foxtrot, yeah. Rock, baby, let's rock. The choice of red man, keep darling, and give me chocolate kisses, darling. Kiss me, my chocolate, darling. My mind is changing. No, my mind is changing. Put your eyes on my keep darling, and give me chocolate kisses, darling. Kiss me, my chocolate, darling. My mind is changing. Baby, my mind is changing. Come on now, let's dance. Let's dance to the disco songs, oh baby, we're gonna rock to the foxtrot, yeah. Rock, baby, let's rock. The choice of the man, keep darling, and give me chocolate kisses, darling. Kiss me, my chocolate, darling. My mind is changing. Baby, my mind is changing. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have some drinks and pastries, so just move and then make yourselves comfortable. We have some drinks and pastries.